So why
Okay,
not do
so
that?
so now, right? So let's say I don't know how much is a Sentosa wedding. Probably in the, I don't know, 300 plus, right? 300, 400. So Kelvin, how much are you
400.
willing to fork out? Will you? So in today's episode, let's talk about this idea of a micro wedding. So on Today Online, there is this headline that states the elders might disapprove, but some couples are opting for cheaper, intimate micro weddings. So long story short, I think following the customary wedding of having at least 200, 300 people coming over to celebrate the day with the bride and the groom, I think because of the COVID instance that hit us in 2020, I think a lot of them started to move online. And still, I'm not too sure if you guys participated in Zoom weddings before, but that was the new norm, especially in the lockdown period. But thereafter, I think there's this new wave, specifically in the Gen Z, that started this movement in just celebrating or having their big day in cafes or even in smaller size restaurants, having only 30 to 50 people coming, which is people that they're closer to. And I think the larger, I guess, benefits or upsides from this is that I guess the bride and groom don't feel like they're performing. They have more time to interact with the guests because they're closer to them. And more importantly, I think in the customary way, in the traditional sense of a wedding, you really invite very distant relatives and to inform them that you're getting married. But maybe on one hand, you're not very close to them. On the other, even if you're close to, throughout the day itself, because it's very rushed with a very packed schedule, you don't have a lot of time that to spend with your guests themselves. I believe on this panel, I'm not married yet, but the three of them has went through that traditional way of doing things. So I just wanted to open to the table. Are you guys open to the idea? If let's say maybe your kids, or if you're able to do it again, are you interested in this idea of a micro wedding?
Definitely. I think if my kid is like more in favor of this, I will go along with him lah. I mean, it's his wedding. If you don't want to have a ceremony, then so be it lah. I mean, I had my turn already, and I looking back, I think that it's a little bit silly lah, little bit. But I think I still threw two, one in Singapore, one in Malaysia. So the Singapore one nowadays, I think I was looking at the prices that day, right, with Bunti. I think it almost literally doubled in the past 8 years. Yeah, so the pricing now is a bit astronomical. I don't know whether is it still logical to ask your relatives to come and then hey, this one is like $2,600, so your share is $260. Make sure that you at least pay your share. Yeah, some of your relatives are quite elderly already, so I don't know whether is it fair to expect that from them.
Wait, but Eric, when you did the planning, were your parents or were your wife's parents involved in the process? Meaning, I want X amount of tables, I want how posh or how luxurious the wedding to be, or was it completely both of your decision?
I think for Singapore side, right, it's more like my parents only. So they were saying like at least invite their generation, like my aunties and uncles, which we were okay lah. I mean, we invited the aunties and uncles, but yeah, there was some unhappiness because some they wanted their kids to come and all that. My generation lah, so like my cousins and everything. So they were like, hey, how come you never invite your own peers and everything? So they were a little bit not very pleased. How come you don't just invite everybody? So for me, I stood firm. I say that, hey, I just want a small wedding. This is how big I'm willing to go lah, 10 tables. Then so we just invited our colleagues and also the more elders in our family lah. Then for the other side, Malaysia side, then of course they have their own relatives to invite and all that. So I left that to them. Whichever number that my mother-in-law said that she want, we went along with it lah. But it's okay lah. I mean, Malaysia side, the cost is like quite manageable. But Singapore side, I would say that it's really quite xiong lah. If you want to go for those 5 stars, Sentosa, wow, the cost now easily 300 to 400 per pax. Nasty. So I don't know whether Peking will want to do that. If that's the case, please only invite Kelvin.
For me, I had my wedding in Malaysia, thankfully. So it's quite cheap. Actually, not even if it's okay. So for Malaysia, the wedding it was about 80 ringgit per pax. So 800 per table lah. Convert back is like 200 Sing per table only. And 80 ringgit probably is a lot. It's a lot lah because I held it in Ipoh. I would say it's average because I held it in a restaurant. So restaurant wedding is a lot cheaper than hotel weddings. For somehow Singaporeans, I don't know, a lot of weddings that I attend, a lot of them are in hotels. Like the Chris one at Bunti, we also went to the hotel wedding for Chris Honeymoney's wedding, right? Okay, that's his choice. But anyway, if for me, I would have chosen restaurant wedding because it's cheaper. Not cheaper for me, cheaper for the guests. Anyway, the food are more or less the same, right? It's always like the first one, I don't know what cai is a mix of veggie. Then the second one is 鱼翅. Then the one it's more or less the same. You upgrade to pay 2x. The food doesn't go 2x more delicious, right? In fact, I doubt any of the guests even remember what the food tastes like. they only remember how much ambao they paid. Then like, wow, this Chris, not maybe this Chris, this guy, wow, his wedding so expensive. Then 3 years later, he go and divorce it. Are you going to refund my ambao? So yeah, yeah. I think if you go for a wedding, that's the thing with Chinese, right? They want to go for extravagant wedding, then they expect the guests to pay up. But I also understand that this is not a one-person thing, right? Like maybe Eric married the wife. It's not both of them. It's the parents on one side, then the parents on the other side, and maybe even the grandparents. So there's at least 4 to 6 parties involved in Eric's wedding. So basically, Eric is like the CEO, but he has to appease all the shareholders. So that's the thing.
But I think doing it in a wedding via normal like places, right? Like in restaurants, there's the feel good factor, right? And then when you talk about the whole experience itself, even the reception, going to the place, you have people to open your door. Different one. You go restaurant, they won't umpire one person to go there and wait for your guests and to help you do a reception table at the side. So that's
wait. They got because you can get all the 姐妹, all the 兄弟 to do all this stuff for you, right? So you go get like maybe Punti a lot of pretty girls friends. You can ask Punti for help also. You just pay them some ambao like $20 ambao, maybe too cheap, or maybe $50.
to open the door for you.
Yeah, they open the door. Then they say, oh, 你
But
坐
in hotel
这边.
they have their workers there.
No one cares about the workers lah. The workers, you if you notice, right, most of them are like aunties. So do you prefer, not to say I'm biased lah. I just prefer friends to open door for me rather than an auntie to open the door for me lah. But anyway, why is the door closed? Like the wedding, the door should be open.
No, as in going to the hotel, you have somebody like to open even your car door, by the way. Like you drive there, right? Then have you park. It's a full experience. It's different from you go to a random.
But I don't have a car.
You take Grab, You don't tell me you took public transport to Chris' wedding, right?
Yeah.
You wear nice, you go and take public transport. All right. So that's the difference. But anyway, I think why when you talk about like the inflation in prices so scary, right? I think I was thinking, or I was studying some luxury companies, right? I think it was LV and Hermes. There is always 2 parts of the pricing, right? One part is the real inflation in costs, whether is it leather or what materials, the production costs, you need to pay people more money. That's one part. And then the second part, which is how all these luxury companies always jack up their prices, right? It's really an unsubstantiated feel-good premium or factor. It's called a brand premium lah. So that's how the hotels are constantly pushing up the prices, even though your dishes might still just form that base layer. But anyway, I think that's that. I just wanted to see, Bunti, your thoughts on this micro wedding?
The hotel one definitely, I think, is not just the feel. The overall scenes also looks better, especially nowadays people get married. It's not enough just to have photos, right? They will hire a videographer, you shoot videos, all those things. If you do it in restaurant, I think hotel just looks nicer. That's my feel when comparing these two. Chris one is also hotel one, looks quite good also. So, and then come back to this, talking about like micro wedding, right? I think the main difference between how people think about wedding nowadays versus, let's say, 1 generation or 2 generations ago, right? Is that last time people think about wedding is like 2 family are wedded together. It's like combine of 2 families. But nowadays, I think, especially the youngster, right, they will think about, wedding is my wedding. It's like 2-person wedding. So it's not about the family, it's about myself. So the thinking, I think, has changed from the family type of thinking to more like individual, focus more on the individuals. So they want to make the wedding looks nice, and then it's all about me. So I think that's the difference. So I think, anyway, this kind of thinking is getting more and more common. So I think among families, even the parents also, they are getting a lot more comfortable to just let the kids run their shows, choose whatever they like, right? So I think that's good. As long as there's good alignment in terms of how to think about all these things, I think no issues there. But I think speaking about all this price, right, I think one way to get around is really just to downsize the wedding, make it smaller, I think that works. And you don't need to make it like you can actually split it out also, right? Say for example, you do a small one, 3 or 5 tables. Then of course, after you get your houses, you can still do housewarming, invite your friends over. People still see you as now I've set up my families with my wife. This is our home. So I think that one also give you a lot more quality time to interact with your friends, to kind of like send the message like we are official, we are one family now. It's no longer just dating. So I think that one also kind of like officiate things in a more intimate way.
But you can't really do a small one in the hotel, right? I think there is a
cannot.
minimum pax.
Yes.
So you need to look for alternative places.
10 tables.
10 tables minimum, right?
Actually,
so that's
10.
100 people.
Let's say if you do a small one, let's say like 10 tables, right? I will also say don't go to hotel, because hotel is like, it looks good when you have 300, 400 guests because the hall is super big, ma. But let's say if you just do, let's say 10 tables, right? But the hall is still big, right? Actually, the feel is a bit like, how come you
No,
don't
they
get-
give you small. They give you a smaller room.
But still, the ceiling quite high. You can still feel that it's empty one. So the feel is different. I think the number of guests need to match the size of the venue. Of course, they some hotel they might have some small corner that don't give you that feel. So I think you need to have that alignment. If not,
No,
I think
the ceiling and all that you're talking about, right? They have certain, it's congruent with the size of the venue lah. So the 10 tables that I had felt quite cozy. The ceiling wasn't excessively high. So hotels do have those rooms catered for like corporate meetings and everything, and they can convert for small weddings, small as in at least 10 tables, 10 to 15 considered small.
yeah, that's great, because I've attended some weddings which I felt like very weird. The venue is bigger than the number of pax. So I feel like a bit like, how come a bit cold, not cozy, like you don't have the cozy feel.
But I want to ask Chiking, what's your plans for your wedding?
I don't know. I think I'm not I'll make it clear that I'm not a decision maker. I also do agree to what Bunti said, that it's a harmony between two families. So truth be told, I don't think the couple itself are in a position to make much of the decision. Like, we need to respect the elders and whatnot. So yeah, I'll leave it as that.
Okay, let's say one of the
Wait,
side
I-
parents one like 20 tables. They say Chiking, but we can't afford it, Chiking.
Then can't afford lah.
No, but we want 20 tables, Chiking.
How to no? Then go to cheaper places lah. Don't go Sentosa lah.
No, but we want Sentosa, Chiking. 20, at least 20 tables. We want to invite our colleagues, not our colleagues, our colleagues, our friends.
Who the parents' colleagues
Yeah. The parents and grandparents lah, the colleagues lah.
cannot be 200. Cannot be 20 tables lah. Don't have so many people one lah. I will tell them to downsize 10 tables if Sentosa. Yeah, but Sentosa a bit too strong. But yeah, no money, don't do things. So you see, it goes back down to the personal finance thing again, right? About what you want to show people. And because wedding ultimately is a performance, is to show or to tell, to officiate, and it's not necessarily because you enjoy the food or what. It's, yes, I agree that it's a ceremony that officiates your bond and your relationship. But at the same time, the second part of this is to show people how well you're doing or what, right? So the bigger the wedding, the more posh, the grander the place is, then you tell people that you're doing well. But I feel like if it's out of your reach and you need to go into credit card debt, then I think it's highly not recognizable. Unless somebody's gonna bankroll it. Maybe your parents are rich and then they're gonna tell you that I'm gonna sponsor the wedding. But if not, if it's coming out from my own pocket, then I think you really need to think very carefully and be more pragmatic about it. No point the amount of money that you blow, right? I see people spend on TikTok, right? They can blow a few 100,000 on. I think 30-50K is the norm. And then some goes to like 150, 200K. If you're rich and you earn like 500K a year, please go ahead. I think you're happy can already. But for those that are not even earning, you like, this is more than 1 year of your salary and you spend it on one day, I think you need to be more careful about it. Like, the amount of money can be spent on so many other things, like your reno, your house down payment, your kids, whatever your other plans are lah. So yeah.
Actually, it won't be your money, because you can collect ang pao to.
But that's not
to earn
guaranteed,
back.
right? Today I tell you lah, Kelvin, you invest in me. You give me 100K. I feel like I'll tell you your ROI. I give you a range of possibilities. You see, you want to give me or not?
I think likely will earn back like okay, for Bunti, do you earn back for Bunti and Eric?
Higher, but because it's smaller, small town. So back then was cheap. I think that's the difference. We cannot compare when I was married 12 years ago, so you can count the inflations lah. And we are comparing small town in Malaysia versus in Singapore. So I think chicken situations is very, very different.
I think generally speaking, right, if you do weddings at hotels and all that, for local context, you most likely cannot make back. Why I say that? Even though there are friends or relatives who actually bless you with more than the cost of the wedding, because you have to have all those peripheral services, right? Photography, videography, and then photo booth and whatnot, games, MC, whatever Ling Nang Lang you want to have lah, all those door gifts or whatnot. So you spend on all those things, pre-wedding shoot, everything, nobody's going to reimburse you. So definitely a wedding, right? All those accessory costs, they add up to maybe 10 plus K, which nobody is going to reimburse you. So if you're just talking about the banquet itself, yes, you may be able to cover it back, maybe a little bit below or a little bit above, but definitely you add up all the costs associated with wedding, right? You have to put aside at least 20K, have some buffer, because nobody is going to factor in all those extra, right? And then reimburse you. Nobody is going to do that.
No, so I'm just talking about like the banquet itself.
The banquet can.
So the rest of Ling Ling Lang Lang, you say, right? The dance, the photos booth, the photo album, all these are your own daiji lah. I'm just talking about the wedding. So an expensive wedding, you can make back. So I'm just saying like, okay, Chicken is okay to hold his wedding at Sentosa with 20, 40 packs. No, not per table, not packs. That is so sad. I mean, for 40 table, he can make back the money and earn miles on the way, right? So why not do that?
So now, right? So let's say I don't know how much is a Sentosa wedding. Probably in the 300 plus, right? 300, 400. So Kelvin, how much are you willing to fork out? Will you fork out 400 or will you go above and beyond?
As a friend, I give $50 lah.
See? Exactly. So how to take back?
You must aggregate the whole thing lah.
No lah, as in my perspective is I shouldn't look at this as a instrument that will get me back a higher ROI on how much I spent. There's no, I think it loses the meaning like that if you look at this whole thing like that lah. So I feel like if really comes a point and if the elders are okay, even going into like a restaurant, right? And then you have the ability to bless people, meaning you don't even expect any amount of money to come back. I think that should be the best case scenario because it's anyway my event and you guys are already spending time to come down. So even if like Kelvin and I give $20 in ang pao, I think it's fine. Like I don't have to bear grudges. But then if it goes to Sentosa 400 plus really, then it's a bit, I need to subsidize how many people 400 plus. And I'm not at the level or the ability to subsidize that amount of money lah. So that's the very big difference when your cost is 40, 50 per pax versus 400, 500 per pax. I think that then it plays with your psychology and your thinking again. Is Kelvin a good friend? Should I continue hanging out with him? That kind of thing, when you offset a $400 cost versus a $50 cost. So that's the formula that runs lah. But anyway,
I only make sure I eat one dish lah. So like the rest can eat more lor.
But the rest got give more or not? That's a different question, right?
Then we all only eat one dish lah. Like no need to come out the rest of the dish. Just kidding.
If Chicken, you're going to do the $400 wedding, right? Please make sure that it's sponsored.
Kelvin will be my biggest sponsor. I'll help him put his channel big so he will get at least 500 subscribers.
Maybe. It's cool. You'll give a speech before your wedding.
Sign up on the spot, got discount, right? Sign up to his course.
Sounds like a great idea. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Any comments on the idea of a micro wedding? Feel free to leave in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.